Hi, thanks for stopping by. My name's Julia, and welcome to my channel, Sharing the Discovery. On this channel, I hope to share many different resources that I'm using, and I hope to share the journey that we're on. I consider myself a freestyle homeschooler, which means that I don't subscribe to any one curriculum, but I pull resources from many different places, and I don't idealize scheduling. I often go with the flow on what we're learning in a particular day or a week, and I also very much prioritize my children's interests, the questions that they ask, to provide good direction as far as what we can be learning. This choice of learning beside them at home is a very intentional choice. So I've put together a list of 5 reasons why I freestyle in my homeschooling. I love being able to look at things that are older, and I love being able to look at things that are newer. I think that there are gems in both places. If you have older resources and if there are newer resources, older picture books, newer picture books, older chapter books, newer chapter books. It's like a treasure hunt, honestly, to be able to sift through and to find things that are quality and that are edifying and that are substantial. So I love being able to find a balance between using the old and the new, and to even find where they intersect, where they correlate, the strengths that resources from the past or resources in the present have. I love being able to combine those things in schooling. And being able to freestyle gives me the freedom to be able to pull from different resources like that. I'm not only immersed in a new curriculum or using an older curriculum. I have the freedom to balance it all myself. We live in a world where information and resources are coming out all the time. As I mentioned earlier, I love balance. I love to be able to bring the old and the new in. And so one reason why I don't want to just commit to one curriculum is that I want to remain open to things that are new, things that are changing, things that are adapting. In a previous video, you can check it out on my channel, about the 2 foundational resources I use in homeschool. These resources really communicate to me the fact that they are not becoming stagnant. There is something new to look at. It's not digital. I love that it's books and it's pamphlets, it's things that you read, but it's new. You can't necessarily plan too far ahead, and that is fun to me. It keeps it exciting, it keeps it fresh, and it keeps me on my toes as a homeschool educator in a good way. For example, one of them is a resource, a current events newsletter that comes out every 2 months, and it has 8 pamphlets. Every week you look at one pamphlet with your child, and they are full of current event nuggets. Now, there are current events that you wouldn't necessarily know about because they are just these fun little treasures that God's World News puts together and makes it easily accessible to children. And the other is Read Aloud Revival, where Sarah Mackenzie, the founder of Read Aloud Revival, is suggesting new books to read every month. So these 2 resources of learning really help to solidify my ability to freestyle homeschool. I think that without these 2 resources, I would find myself floundering quite a bit. I do need structure to our days. I'm not just trying to wing it, but I do like the idea of coming up with new content, researching content, sourcing content for myself. in addition to the foundations that they provide. If you want to have some idea of how I plan out our homeschool days based on these 2 foundational resources, please check out my other video, which I will link below. I come from a home where having personalized libraries was the norm. My dad has a whole library, and I've grown up always knowing that books were a love for him. And my mom has a library of her own, and then she has built a school library for us as kids. She used Sunlight curriculum, which is almost entirely literature based, and I helped her a lot in those schooling years when we would go to book sales or bookstores or secondhand shops. I would always be browsing in the book section, having a list of all our needed titles for the next school year. And I found that so exhilarating to be searching out for these quality books. I started sourcing books and building a library at a very young age, and for myself, and several of my siblings have as well. One of my sisters in particular even outsourced me and has a very extensive children's book library. I wanted to be a librarian because I thought that was the best thing, to be able to recommend resources and just connect people with the books that would speak to them at that time in their lives. And I would often play a library. I actually would organize my books on my shelf alphabetically by author. I would create my own barcodes with masking tape on the back of my books, and I would pretend to check my books out to my siblings. Being able to acknowledge my background allows me to acknowledge about myself and my experience is that I know how to recognize quality when I see it. I know how to look at a resource and assess pretty quickly whether or not it is worthwhile. Now, obviously, everyone's family is different, so I'm really just speaking for myself and for the quality that I see as necessary and good for us. Being able to acknowledge that is really freeing in the sense that I can, again, embrace the fact that freestyling is not just something I'm doing on a whim, it's something I'm doing because I'm equipped to do so. My life is kind of a non-stop freestyle event currently. If you are a parent, you know what I mean. Things happen on the go. These things can pop up in many different ways, and they can range from positive things like questions being asked and needing to take a moment to answer and reflect. They can range from like impulses like wanting to make cookies together and making a plan to do that, or cuddles on the couch and reading books. Or they can range from neutral things like needing to change a dirty diaper. It's just something that needs to happen. Toilet training is obviously a big thing in parents with young children. And it can be unpleasant things that impact. Meltdowns are necessary to be worked through, and things like, hurts and owies happen all throughout the day, or sibling conflict and the need to be present to working out stuff between siblings. So all of these things happen in a day. They can't be planned, and we as parents need to have the freedom to be able to be present to the situation without feeling stress or pressure. Obviously, stress and pressure is enough a factor of life through many other different avenues. And so my thought is, why do I need to add additional stress and pressure into my life right now that I'm already freestyling by making school something that I need to schedule out? Now, I want to just quickly mention that just because I'm freestyling it does not mean that I don't prioritize it. I don't want to send the wrong message that just because I don't have it all scheduled out or mapped out, that it's somehow less of a priority. The fact is, I try to prioritize school as soon as we are all together in the morning, which is usually around the breakfast table. I'm reading to my children first thing in the morning. We start with Bible, we do a poem, or right now we're working through some Aesop's fables, and then I'm doing some read aloud, a chapter book of some sort. I'm reading a couple chapters, and from there, depending on what the rest of our day looks like, we either do some more schooling, like some numbers, we're learning numbers right now, or some science books, we're learning about each of our 5 senses right now, and we're doing activities associated with that. Or if we're going out in the morning, then we're prioritizing getting out the door. So it all just depends what each individual morning looks like. But I do want to just make the statement, just because I'm freestyling it does not mean I'm not prioritizing school or letting it be pushed to the back of the day. No, we're starting off right out with learning, and we're making learning kind of the theme of our day. This would kind of bring me to my last point, and that is that being able to freestyle in homeschool convey the message that learning does not begin when the school books open, and it doesn't end when the school books close. In fact, learning can be a style of life. It can be a way of perceiving the world. It can be a way of knowing oneself, that oneself cannot know all that there is to know. It leaves the mind open and curious, knowing that questions are good. It's a good way to interact with the world and in relationships. This is what I hope to convey through homeschooling in a more freestyle manner, is that learning doesn't ever stop. And can we as a family, and hopefully my children as individuals, can keep learning, keep engaging with the content that's before them and the content that they pursue of their own accord. Something that Sarah Mackenzie, the founder of Read Aloud Revival, has spoken before, and it has really stayed with me, is that we as parents, as homeschool parents, and I'm saying this generally, but myself as a parent, I want to equip my children so that they are reading more when they are outside of my home than they read here and now. I'm not trying to cram every little bit of reading into their lives at this point in their lives. Rather, I'm trying to build a foundation upon which they can then build. And that is the foundation of loving to read, loving to pursue knowledge, and curiosity, inquisitiveness. That's what I'm hoping to build on, and that's what I hope that freestyling our learning might do for us. I really appreciate you being here, you watching this video, and I hope that it can be of benefit to you in your own personal learning journey. And if you are coming alongside young children or older children, my hope is that this video might encourage you to know that if you're learning, you're doing good. Learning is a journey, a process, and it is something that can be really delightful to accompany somebody else in. So check back again, check out my other videos. All right, well, this closes it up for today.